Morning.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Are we live yet?
We are live.
We got on.
You 3 times somehow.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what's happening there.
This my today. This was listings, like it.
Saving money.
Saving money on what you're already doing, okay? Listings. What else? What is it? How to even do it, how to get started. All right,
Yeah,
what else?
yeah, just trying to add this as a component of the business.
Right, find out more about forming and how to do it on a cost-efficient way. Like it. Anything else? Yeah, that was in his video he did for me, right? Like, I'm gonna show you how to do it for 30 cents. But how to set a budget and stay with it for at least 6 months, right? Okay. Can you handle all that?
I think so.
You sure?
Yes.
You
We're-
missed my
we're gonna
intro,
get-
man.
look, it's my technology's fine.
Okay. Oh! See? Now you see why I can talk to this dude several times today. I mean, right?
Just fine.
Cause look, Dana had an extra
Look.
smile on that, cause I'm always digging at her. So now
Yeah.
somebody got me back.
Uh,
Somebody got me back, right? He got me back.
I was
right?
like, there's 5 versions of Terrell logged in. I don't know what's going on.
No, you gonna help me get that changed today.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
so
Look, they said
that's so
the other
funny.
day, the Supreme guy, Pat Flood,
Uh-huh.
I wasn't on there, but there was 3 faces on there, right? He was like, yeah, Terrell. Nobody say that. Terrell, he's like, I see you, you're on here. Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta show, this is my
We're
technology.
gonna
guru,
fix
too.
that.
We fixing
We're
that
gonna fix
today.
Yeah.
Alicia be messing with me too. She's like, TP, you was on there, right? I'm like, no, that wasn't me. All right,
Awesome.
go ahead.
Well, Terrell, thank you so much.
No, no worries, man. I can tease him, guys. like I said.
Yeah, no, we're
That's one
good.
of my
We're
best
good.
friends.
I appreciate you guys coming out today. And I do want to give a shout out to Terrell. I mean, look.
We stay for this.
Yeah, right. All right, that's it. That's all I wanted to say about Terrell. We're moving on to Alicia. No, look, one of the best human beings in the world. You guys are so fortunate to have this man as a leader and as a person in your world. I promise you, I have met a lot of people at Keller Williams in the last 4.5 years, and head and shoulders above the rest. So y'all are super fortunate to have him. Same with Alicia back there. If you're not in coaching, I'm gonna tell y'all, you need to get in coaching. She is amazing, like awesome. Does like this team here. We got to spend some time together last week, didn't we? And we got to go through some pretty stressful situations together. And when you go through stress with somebody, like that changes how you see that person. I gave her the nickname. She probably didn't like it, but your person, Dawn, I called her Tenacious D. Like that girl cannot quit is not part of her vocabulary. Give up is not a thing that she knows how to do. I thought that was awesome. All of them, Casey, all of them did such a great job. So y'all are super fortunate. And I'm very lucky to be here. Terrell's right. He called me like a month and a half ago and I was like, dude, I'm going through this transition from team leader land, which was super on purpose for myself. I did this for 4.5 years and I loved being the team leader. But what I truly, truly love is pouring into people, teaching, coaching, helping you guys become successful. And a lot of people question that, like, what are you thinking leaving that team leader role? But the reality is like, this is my passion. This is what I like to do. So I'm really, really happy to be here. And he's right. I am super crazy busy right now. Alicia knows I'm just launching this program. However, I'm really happy to spend my day here with you guys. So all of those things you want to get out of it, I hope that you do. I put a lot of time into this presentation and I believe in this system. I believe I'm not selling you something. I'm not up here to sell you a program. I'm not making any money off any of this stuff. This is my experience. This is what I've learned over the years. And I think that this system, in my opinion, has huge value and huge merit for your businesses. And it's economically very efficient and it works really, really well. So let's get into some things. Well, first of all, let's do this. Who here has been in real estate less than 6 months? Less than a year? Less than 2 years? Who's been in here longer than 2 years? Cool. So we got a really nice spread. So who has tried postcard farming in the past? Newsletters, letters, things like that. Okay. Can y'all tell me about those experiences? Like, how did that go? What results did you get from it?
So the first time I sent the postcard to time my first listing, I sent the farm postcards. I didn't get anything. In the second month, I sent it out. I got one listing appointment, and this is my third month sending it out.
Okay.
I have like 6 leads.
Perfect.
So it's progressing.
So you've just started in the last few months and you're already seeing results.
Correct.
I love it. That's awesome.
I'm gonna take money. So I'll tell you.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about how we maximize our, like we're going to really put the dollars to work with this system. And I love that. Who else has done this and had some results?
I did. I started like in July, like my first batch of letters, and I had no listing, so my husband was trying to like prospect around the house that I sold to my buyer,
Mhm.
and I got a listing right now from it. From that, I got
Okay.
most effective response I've seen from it was on the bottom of it, it talks about you want to know what your house is worth, and that's what I seen like the more calls came from people want to know what their house is worth instead of the other stuff that I wrote.
Awesome.
I mean, just that and what I spent. It seems good. We're still, working on trying to get it there.
Sure. I love it. And I love that you guys are getting results pretty quickly, which is really awesome. Let's get one more. Who else has done it?
I
Okay,
and I actually walked my entire subdivision.
sure.
Good cardio. But literally by the time I got back to the house, I had got someone who reached out to me because I did the, do you want to know what your house is worth?
Sure.
And she reached out and I listed her home in like less than a month after that.
Awesome.
And then I was just able to get referrals in the neighborhood.
That is awesome.
If I just have a plan,
Sure.
produce more.
We're going to talk about that. I love that. That's so cool. So technology, right? Fun. Let's get that little cursor back there. All right. So why do we want to postcard farm? I think you guys covered that when we were talking about what you want to get out of this. You want listings. That's kind of the big deal, right? Right now, is working with buyers difficult? Look, has working with buyers always been difficult? It always has been more challenging. But today, you're writing like 5-to-1 offers at minimum, 15-to-1, right? In some areas, yeah, where inventory is even more scarce, 15 or 20-to-1 to get that one offer accepted. And I see the stories from my agents pouring into our private page where they talk about, I've cried with these people, like literally sat and cried with their clients over offers that weren't accepted. And it's like, we're at that level now where working with buyers is that difficult. And getting those listings, you know how important they are. Not only does it make your life easier and it brings leverage into your world, but you're going to generate more business. You're going to generate more buyers, which is really an awesome thing, right? So we covered some of that already. Let's talk about some things that are important to know about postcard farming. First and foremost, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. This is something that we need to commit to long-term. I'm going to tell you, you know the difference between a sprint and a marathon, right? A sprint is go as fast as you can, get to the finish line as fast as you can. A marathon is long. You train hard. That's what postcard farming is about. It is a commitment. It is setting up a farm and a system that you're going to want to work long-term in the area that you choose. So one thing I want to say to you guys is don't get too hung up on all of the different metrics. I know that there's some instructors that will tell you about all these magic formulas for velocity and listings and things that sold this quickly and how many agents dominate this neighborhood and that neighborhood and all these different metrics. There might be some merit to that. For me, I want to work in the neighborhood I want to work in. I bet everybody in here can think of at least one neighborhood that they think, man, if I could just sell a couple homes a year in this neighborhood, that would be awesome. Y'all got that neighborhood in your head? You know that neighborhood. You know that area. You could probably think of 3 or 4 or 5 neighborhoods, and some of them are probably connected to each other, and they're right next door, where you could go, if I could bust into this area right here, and I could start selling homes here, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? So that's how I choose my neighborhoods. I don't choose them based on, like, if you like numbers and math, knock yourself out, do all those numbers, figure out all the formulas. But I think there's variables in there that you cannot account for. So some of the variables are, what does your postcard look like? What is the call to action? What is the website where they go to land on? What does your follow-up look like? What does your system look like for long-term nurtures? What does your system look like if they don't really register all the way and you just get half of a lead? All of those things matter when we're talking about getting listings. So I can do the formula and say, well, this neighborhood sells homes at this rate and this many people moved and all these things. But if none of that other stuff is exactly the way it needs to be, then it's kind of irrelevant, isn't it? So I've got to have my systems in place and I want to work where I want to work. That's my theory on it. So these are what we just kind of talked about. Where will the leads go? What does that follow-up system look like? Are you guys on command?
Yes.
You guys have your smart plan set up? Sure, perfect. That sounded 50-50, that's okay. So we've got to have systems in place because when these leads come in, there's a cost associated with these, and we're going to cover that. So every time we have a closing, we think we made a certain amount of money, but we spent money to get to that table. And that's the funny thing about it. How many of y'all have had closings where you sit there and the buyer or the seller sees your paycheck come sliding across the table and they go, oh my gosh, you made that much? I should get into real estate. And you're going, hold up. You don't, like 6 months ago, I didn't know you. I had to put this plan together, sit in this guy's class for an hour and have him yell at me about postcards. Then I had to go do all this work. Then I'd spend all this money. I had to buy all these things. I had to then do all this other stuff. Then I had to send the things out. Then I had to do the follow-up, do the nurture, and all these things had to happen for you and I to get to this table. But you don't know that, do you? All you know is I showed you some houses, we made some offers, and here we are at the closing table. And now, poof, I get $10,000. You don't see all that background stuff. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Oh goodness, I'm stepping on wires. All right, so look, make a plan, work a plan. A farmer, when we talk about this, it's funny we call it farming, right? Does a farmer casually drive down the road to an open field, throw some seeds out the window and keep moving?
No.
And hope that that land produces fruit? Is that what a farmer does? No, the farmer like looks at the land, prepares the land, has a plan, buys the right seeds, gets the fertilizer lined up, has the right equipment in place, goes out, does the work they need to do, plants the seeds, fertilizes the seeds, waters the plants. Then they go out and check to make sure the bugs aren't eating them. They do a lot of work for that land to produce fruit. So when I hear people say, well, I tried farming once, I sent out, $500 worth of postcards and I got nothing. Cool. Well, you're the guy who drove by, threw some seeds out the window, and you hoped something would grow. Did you have a plan? Did you have systems in place? Did you have follow-up systems? What did you do to ensure that those seeds were planted properly, that they would actually produce fruit? There's a difference in throwing the seeds out the window or doing all of the things that a real farmer does. Make a plan, work a plan. We talked a little bit, somebody said about budgets. Look, everybody's budget is different. I don't know what your income level is. I don't know how much money you have in your savings account. I don't know how much money you have in your checking account. You have to decide what you're going to invest in your business. This is the most economical way to do postcard farming. I promise you. However, it's still a decision you have to make. And knowing that it's a long-term marathon situation, knowing that you're going to have to commit to this, there are people out there who will tell you that you cannot expect to see a farm produce real results for up to 18 months. That's 18 months of sending things out every single month. There's a cost associated every month for 18 months. I think that number's a little skewed. We've heard a couple of folks in the room who've been doing it for a few months and you're already seeing results. I think when people talk in those terms of 18 months, they're talking like big results, repeatable results, establishing a presence in that area and now saying, hey, I've got this geographical farm. This is my farm. These are my people. This is my neighborhood. I think you can get results much quicker. However, we go back to the marathon. You cannot get upset if you send out a postcard, a round of cards, and all of a sudden you're like, well, I dropped $300 and where's the leads, baby? Come on. Where's the leads? Bring me the leads. And nobody registers, nobody calls. You can't get upset about that. You have to be okay with it. We tell agents when you're cold calling, when you're doing any real estate lead generation activity, there are going to be days where you do the activity and you get 0 leads, 0 appointments. Did you fail or succeed that day? I think you succeeded because you did the work. The activity is the success. So if I show up today, I go back to the John Maxwell, I heard him talk about, let's say there's a gigantic oak tree in your front yard. You've got a really great axe and you walk out there tomorrow morning and you hit that tree 3 times. Is that tree going to fall? No. Well, what if you do it the next day? 3 times, you walk out, you hit it 3 times. Is that tree going to fall? Well, what if you do it for 10 days? Is it going to fall? I don't know, maybe. What if you do it for 30 days? What if you do it for 3 months? 6 months? I don't know how long it's going to take, but I promise if you get up every morning, you take your axe and you hit that tree 3 times, there will come a day when you best step out of the way because that thing's coming down. It's not going to happen on the first day, but that's where the success shows up in real estate. That's where agents who've been in this business long enough can tell you, you've got to be in the business long enough and do the activities over and over and over for that success to show up. And that's an exercise that we're going to do here with postcard farming. How many homes would you like to mail to? That kind of correlates directly with your budget. How much money are you willing to invest every month? How often will you mail? Again, we go down to your budget. My suggestion is that you do every 4 to 8 weeks max. I would not let more than 8 weeks go by without sending out another round. Because here's what happens. Y'all know postcards are, you got about a 7-second attention span there. From the moment I take them out of my mailbox in my front yard, and it takes me about 7 seconds to walk to my garage as I flip through these things, and I take the ones that are useful or not useful bills, I stick them under my arm or in my pocket, and then I take the trash in my hand and I lift up the trash can lid and I toss them in. So we're going to talk about designing proper postcards to get, right? We've got to build that mind share as quickly as we can. We've got to have a very identifiable, we've got to have something that sticks out, because these things, you got 6 or 7 seconds. Good thing they're only 30 cents, right? I'll spend 30 cents for 7 seconds of your attention if that attention is eventually going to produce a listing for me. Because the reality is too, with postcard farming, I may send out a round of postcards for 8 months in a row. And this gentleman, what is your name? Joe? Joe's going to get that card, and for 7 months in a row, he's going to throw that card in the trash. And on the 8th month, I don't know that on that 8th month, it was just the other day that Joe sat down with his significant other and they said, hey, you know what? The kids are about to graduate. I think we need to start thinking about moving. And then that afternoon, he grabs the mail and my postcard's there. And that's a very recognizable thing because he's been seeing it for 7 months in a row. And he goes, oh, look, this guy, he's been sending us cards for a while. Oh, look, I can scan here and get a valuation for my house. Let's do that real quick and let's just get a number and see what it's worth. And now he's in my trap. I've got him, you know, but I've got to show up when the yes happens. And to do that, I've got to be there when all the no's happen. And there's a ton more no's that are happening than yeses. No's happen all day long, but I've got to eat those no's. I've got to be okay with it for that one day when he wakes up and goes, hey, today's the day. I think we need to start talking about this. And then boom, I'm there. That's where that consistency shows up. Are you willing to establish a presence in that area? We'll talk a little bit about that. I think postcard farming is much more than just sending out postcards. And that comes into like, are you willing to door knock that neighborhood? I would door knock a neighborhood if I'm spending money to establish a presence there. I would send out cards for a few months, and then I would take a stack of cards with me and I would go to the neighbors and I would knock on the door, take a step back, big cheesy smile, holding a postcard that's hopefully recognizable in my hand and going, hey, my name's Adrian. I'm a realtor. I've been sending cards to this neighborhood for a while. Just want to make sure you got one. Have you seen them? Have y'all thought about moving? Market's great. We got lots of buyers looking in this area. There's only a few answers you're going to get. Get off my lawn, right? No, we ain't moving. Or, hey, you know what? We've actually been thinking about it. That's it. It's only 3 answers you're going to get. Every now and then you'll get, I'm calling the cops if you don't leave. And then you say, never mind, I'm out of here. I've had that happen to me in door knocking. It's okay. I mean, look, they never actually called the cops, but they threatened to. And there's people that will scream at you from behind the door, go away. What do you want? Just your neighborhood realtor, no big deal. Look, those people are not going to be very fun to work with anyway. They're screaming at you from behind the door. All right, so don't worry about that. I'll tell you another story about an angry guy here in just a minute. Are you willing to host open houses there? Now, look, I know you don't have listings in that neighborhood, but somebody does. And if they're an Atlanta Partners agent, then they're part of this brokerage. Even if it's not KW Tucker, it's Atlanta Partners. We are seen as one gigantic brokerage. So if a listing pops up in your farm area, I would track that agent down and beg them to let me do an open house in that area. I want to have a physical presence in the area where people have been getting my cards. Because now I've got a really great reason to go knock on doors and invite neighbors. Hey, I'm doing an open house here. I don't know if you've seen my cards. I've been sending them here for a while. We're doing an open house. We've got a great listing. Love you to stop by and check out Jack and Susan's house. You know, bring some friends who are thinking of moving to the neighborhood. Come on over. We'll have refreshments and cookies, whatever that script looks like. But now I have a great reason to hit that door because I'm doing an open house. Now I'm establishing a physical presence in that neighborhood. Community events. So I recently got completely suckered into joining my HOA board. Does anybody here live in an HOA community? Does anybody love their HOA? No, you don't. And one of these people were like, oh my gosh, you should totally do this. It'll be fun. You're new to the neighborhood. And I got suckered into it. But here's what I'm learning through this process is HOA communities like to host events and do social things for their neighbors, and they don't have budgets for it. Because most HOAs are a hot mess disaster financially. They've been mismanaged. Nobody knows what the heck's going on with the budgets. Nobody knows what's really happening with the money. So what we're finding is that they need funding. They want to host events. They want to host those parties at the pool when the pool opens or when the pool closes. They want to do the little fall festival. They want to do the pizza party for the first day of school or whatever that is, but they don't have the funding to do it. So then they start going around begging neighbors. Neighbors are like, leave me alone. I already pay $600 a year, $800 a year, whatever, to live here. I'm not paying for pizza. So here you come, your friendly neighborhood realtor, and you're going, hey, what can I do to support the neighborhood? I've been sending cards here. Find that HOA contact list and call that person in charge and say, I would like to sponsor an event. I would like to do something for the neighborhood. How can I help? What's your next event that you want to do? And how can I get involved? I promise you, they will take you up on it all day long. 100%. There it is. Find kids sports teams. If sports are big in that area, I recently moved to Beaufort City Schools where all they care about is sports. Like it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. My kids are in baseball, football, basketball. The other one wants to play soccer. I'm dead. I have no free time, but look, it's okay. Like that's my life, Brenda. This is what I do now. I'm a sports person and I show up and I sit there quietly and I just watch the games. And they need sponsorships. Every single team needs a sponsor. They do, every single one, because they get the little t-shirts, they get the little trophies, they do all the snack. Somebody has to sponsor these things. If I'm building a presence in this community, why am I not seeking out these opportunities? Because yes, again, we go back to like postcard farming is great, but this is building an entire system to dominate an area. I'm going to give you this thing. It's not written down here. It just popped in my head. There was a guy I heard a couple years ago. It was his system for dominating a farm area. And part of his system was going to the local football stadium and saying, hey, I'm going to donate water bottles every Friday for football games. I'm going to bring water bottles and I'll donate them. And I know you guys sell them for $1, $2 a piece, whatever. And that'll be 100% profit for the school and for the football team. And then he'd go out and have water bottles made with his label on it and get his contact information on it. And he would take a couple cases, 100, 200 bottles, whatever it was that week, and he would drop them off to the concession stands. Concession stands would sell them, pure profit, right? On the bottle, he would print like this bottle, thank you for purchasing this bottle. All proceeds have gone to the whatever football team. And he said the most enjoyment he got out of that was sitting in the football stands, watching other realtors drink his water. He was like, I'd sit there and I'd watch him sipping on my water. And he's like, and nobody else did that. But he said, my face was everywhere because he wanted to dominate that area. And I don't know, like kids' sports are huge and they bring out families, not just the parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, they all come out to support. So why not what's a couple cases of water going to cost you to do it every now and then? You know what I mean? So I thought that was a really neat idea. So again, I ask you, what is the plan? You have to come up with the plan and then you have to work the plan, but most importantly, you got to commit to it. This is where we struggle, right? I'm really good at making plans. Anybody else in here good at making plans? Does anybody else really honestly enjoy it? Like I enjoy making plans. I love it. I love sitting down. I love making plans. I'll map the whole thing out. It'll look like a crazy person, you know, with the little strings tied to each other. Like I do the plans. I love it. And then afterward, I'll sit back and I'll look at it. I'll go, my God, it's a good plan. It's amazing. Best plan ever. And then, oh crap, I got to work it. And then I'm really usually pretty excited in the beginning, aren't I? And I'm like, yes, I'm working this really cool plan. I love this plan. This is the best plan. And then 2 weeks goes by and I'm like, okay, it's a pretty cool plan. Yeah, I'm still working it. And then 3 months goes by and you're like, hey man, what you got going on today? Because I don't want to work the plan anymore. And I'm looking for things to do because I've lost my excitement about the plan. I'm gonna tell y'all, this is not a plan you can lose excitement about. If you fizzle out after 3 or 4 months of doing this, I think you've wasted that money. Because what's going to happen is the postcards you did invest in, they're going to be forgotten. Because remember, Joe, for 7 months, got my cards and didn't do anything with it. And in the 8th month, he woke up and said, I think it's time to move. And my card showed up that week. And he goes, hey, look, I can go to this website and this guy's going to tell me what my house is worth. It's a good starting point. Let's at least figure it out. because the news says that the market's crazy and everybody says that they're getting so much money for their homes. Let's at least just have a quick look. And once he's on my site, got him. He's mine. All right. So why every door direct mail? How much time do we have? I can talk, people. We're going to be here all day. Order lunch. Why every door direct mail? So direct mail versus every door direct mail. Direct mail is like you put a stamp on it. It's a letter. It's a postcard. It's something you have to put postage on. And postage is like 35 cents for a tiny postcard, up to 55 cents for a letter. And I don't even know what they charge for the big jumbo cards, but I know that it gets expensive if you do direct mail. Every door direct mail, that's this guy just showing up and throwing postcards in every single person's mailbox. Direct mail is hyper targeted. I'm going to have a list with my direct mail and I'm going to send it to specific people and it will be addressed to you. It will have your name on it and it will go directly to your home. And there might be 500 homes in that neighborhood, but I may have targeted only 50 homes based on how long ago they moved in, how much equity they might have, whatever that targeting might be. I'm going to direct it to your home. I'm going to pay a premium for that. Every door direct mail, I gave it a nice name, blanket area distribution. Folks, it's junk mail. Plain and simple. We are blanketing communities. So what happens is every door direct mail pieces do not have your name on it. They do not have your address on it. The postal employee has a stack of your cards on their route, and every single mailbox they get to, they're just throwing cards in there. Indiscriminately, don't care, just got to get rid of these cards before I go back to the office today. That's what every door direct mail is. So it looks a little bit different when you're targeting because as we'll get in, I'll show you why it looks different, but it's a great system. Go ahead.
So this is the thing that says to the resident, instead of having my name.
It doesn't even say that.
Doesn't
It says local postal customer. So I'll show you what that looks like in a second. It doesn't have a name, an address. It's got nothing on there. Doesn't even say res. It just says local postal customer. If there's a mailbox on that route, they're getting a card. Yeah, it's just blanketing, right? Direct mail, 70 cents up to 99 cents. If you get some super premium products, you're over $1 a piece for direct mail. That can get expensive very quickly. Every door direct mail, you can get it as cheap as 27 cents a card, up to about 35 cents a card, depending on the quantities that you're doing and how you're doing that. We'll dig into those numbers here in a second. Look at it like this: 1,000 cards with direct mail, $700 to $990. 1,000 cards with every door direct, $270 to $350. Huge difference, right? I'm stretching my dollars here with every direct mail in the biggest. I feel like I'm in your way all the time.
Oh, no, you did.
All right. So I'm really stretching my dollars here. If you want to look at it a different way, 1,000 cards, $790, 3,000 cards, $810, up to $1,050. You're talking $100 difference for 3 times the amount of cards. I can blanket a ton of communities for under $1,000, 3,000 homes. Do that math. That is crazy. If I'm hitting 3,000 homes, I'm not telling you to invest $1,000 a month. Please don't misunderstand me. But if you had that as a budget, 3,000 homes, you're going to see some results pretty quickly. 3 times the reach. Put a little graphic in there.
That's worth it if you do one.
Well, it is, and we will definitely talk about the ROI here in just a second. Excellent for PCSOI. This is excellent for establishing a farm area. I see direct mail as my past clients, my sphere of influence. I'm going to upload that list. I may have 200, 300 people in there. And I'm if y'all do a proper 36 touch, how many mail pieces a year should you have? At least 6 mail pieces a year. That's a newsletter, that's a happy birthday card, that's a Merry Christmas card, that's a Happy Father's Day, Happy 4th of July, that's a handwritten note, that's something. A proper 36 touch program should have 6 mail pieces. That's not going to be thousands of people. That's going to be the people who I want to send it directly to you. You and I have a relationship, and I want you to get this mail piece. That's a separate system altogether. In my opinion, that's what I would do. Also, I would use direct mail for just listed, just solds. If I want to just target that little neighborhood, because I just listed a house and I want to announce that to the neighbors. I would use direct mail for that as well, because that's only going to get triggered when I have a listing. If I'm setting up a postcard farm, that's different. I'm setting up a farm. I'm building a presence in an area. Let's talk about postcard design, my favorite program in the world, Canva.com. Does anybody in here use Canva? Listen, I shouldn't say this because of KW Designs and Command, and my brother is the technology director for my office, and he gets so angry with me. He saw my presentation, goes, seriously, dude, you're telling people about Canva still? What about KW? And I'm like, shut up, Bob. Like, Canva is amazing. I pay for the premium service. I love Canva. You can design anything, and they have thousands of stock photos, and it is such an easy program. If you're not using it, I promise you, it's like the best $12 a month you're going to spend for social media graphics, for postcard design. You can design newsletters. I mean, you could design any print or social media graphics in the world inside this program, and it is phenomenal. I promise you. If you don't want to sit down and learn a program, Fiverr.com. You throw a price out there, you look at people's work, you hire this person, they'll knock out a design for you. I've used Fiverr in the past for different things. I take issue with the fact that they give me three logos or 3 things, and then I have to pick one. And I'm like, wait a second here. I don't like any of these. Yeah, I have really high standards here. And this guy from across the world doesn't care. He's taking my $5. and that's just the way it is. But Fiverr is an option, and it's fairly inexpensive. If you find a designer on there that you like working with, that person can become your person. I know people that use that, and they really, really enjoy it. Another one is freelancer.com. Y'all ever heard of this one? Freelancer.com is kind of like Fiverr. Here's what happens with Freelancer. Like, I'll put a price on it. I'll say, this is worth $50 to me. And then I'll give some parameters, and then it'll go out to tons of designers, and you will literally get hundreds of designs sent to you, because now they're competing. And then you get to pick the one that you like, and the one that gets picked gets the money. So it's kind of a cool situation, because it becomes a competition for the designers to do really great work. Freelancers a little different, and you will get a ton of responses, and people will just start banging out like crazy. And you'll go back and say, well, I don't like this. Can you do this? And a whole ton more will show up. And you're like, I mean, it's a really cool thing. But again, I'm leaving it up to somebody else. I like Canva. I enjoy doing it. That's part of my planning thing, is designing things. And I just really, really like doing it. So those are 3 options though. I'm going to show you all some examples. This first one is a postcard that I have actually used, and that was our #1 lead generator. And to this day, I can't really even tell you why this was #1, but this was #1. And it reads, many sellers have already been surprised and thrilled with the sale price we were able to get them for their house. We can do the same for you. What's yours worth? Pricecheckmyhouse.com. Pricecheckmyhouse.com was a URL that I was using, and it was directed to a landing page, or a squeeze page, some people call it. And I'll show you what system we were using for that in the past. This card right here got the most hits and the most leads generated. Is there a house on this card? Does this card immediately scream realtor? Okay. The other day we had this marketing person, her name's Marist, and she runs a marketing company out of Nashville. And I just gave her information to Terrell, and I'm hoping he's going to be able to bring her in here for you guys to learn. But I loved what she said. It was, she said, look, I'm just going to be honest with you. Simply put, nobody cares about your listing. Stop putting pictures of houses online. She's talking about Facebook. Nobody cares. Unless it's like some crazy looking mansion or some super unique, amazing home. It's just a house, people. People want to see you. People want to see people. People want to see things that are interesting to them. And I have felt that way about postcards for the longest time. When I go to my mailbox and I pull out a postcard and it's got a house on it, the alarm bells go off, realtor, realtor, right? Immediately. When I pull this card out, I've got to stop and read this. I don't know what this is. I'm gonna walk to the trash can and read this before I throw it away, right? This forces me to stop and go, what is this? When I see a house, I know it's a house. Realtor, gutter guy, cement guy, siding guy. I don't know what the heck you're doing. It's house related. I don't really care. It's going in the trash. This makes me stop and go, what is this? This is different. And I think different is good. Don't blend in. Don't be like every other realtor who throws pictures of houses. Look, if you take nothing else out of this, please take that in your Facebook. Like this is bonus, right? I'm gonna give you some information that Marist gave us on the social media stuff. People want to see your face and they want to hear your voice. They want to see you. Who in here is comfortable doing videos? All right, like half the room, that's good. That's what people want to see. If you're not doing video, you are falling behind tremendously. Get on Facebook, get on, she said Instagram Reels. Who's on Instagram Reels? Like 3 of you. My wife's on there, it's all women. I'm watching, my wife's scrolling. I said, what are you doing? Is that TikTok? And she said, no, it's Instagram Reels. And my wife has begun following some random family in Idaho because she thought they were entertaining. And I was like, what is that? She goes, oh, it's this family in Idaho. They're so funny. And I'm like, are they famous? She goes, no, they popped up on Reels. And now she watches these people with their kids. And same with TikTok. Who's on TikTok? TikTok is the biggest time waster known to man. However, I have come to love it. And here's why. I for the longest time, I just got TikTok earlier this year. For the longest time, I wondered how on earth is a bunch of kids doing dances? Like, how is that translating to business? It doesn't make any sense. Kids are, and you're like, what is happening here? But the more I got into it, I realized like pages started popping up that were relevant to me because their program learns what I like and it knows what I'm into in this moment. So I made the mistake of getting a puppy last weekend. Cute. I have 2 boys, 6 and 9. Daddy, we want a puppy. No, for years. And then last week we made the mistake of bringing one home. Look, it's like a baby. It poops everywhere and it keeps us up at night. It's a disaster. The kids love it, whatever. All of a sudden, I'm seeing TikToks about training dogs. Creepy? Yep. I promise you, you start looking for homes on Zillow or wherever, you're going to start seeing TikToks about real estate because it's relevant to what you're doing in that moment. I started riding my Peloton bike back in February or April. Guess what I start seeing? A bunch of guys and ladies exercising, health, nutrition, all type of things start flooding that TikTok. Creepy? Absolutely. But look, you're not going to stop them from being creepy. You might as well join them. Be creepy with them. Do relevant real estate related posts. And when people in your area start to scroll through that, and that system knows they're in that mode of like, hey, this person is thinking about buying, selling something real estate related. Let's take Joe's video, who people seem to like, and let's pop it up there and see if this person enjoys it. And if Joe's content is good enough, and that person watches it long enough, it'll go, hey, Joe, we think you're good. So the next time somebody in the area, we're going to show it to them too. Oh, look, she watched it too. Show it to the next one. She watched it too. And that's how Joe blows up on TikTok because the algorithm learns and it says, this video is relevant. The eyeballs stayed on it for the entire 30 seconds. That means it's interesting. That means it's relevant. Now we're going to take people who are just like you who watched it and we're going to distribute it to all of you. And now you're popping up and being shown everywhere. Every time it thinks somebody's doing something with real estate, but you've got to build content. You've got to have relevant information, right? So that's my little thing on TikTok and social media. Y'all pressure Terrell to get that girl in here. Her name's Marist. She was awesome. Really, really good. Marist. All right, so that's one of them. This one right here, y'all can pull out your phones and scan that. And in fact, I would like you to. Don't all register on this website because it's my brother's website. He'll kill me. I told them I was going to use it as an example today. But you can send this postcard that says, get your instant home value report, scan here. Is this different? Does it have a house on it? And a QR code?
I mean, it's more interactive, especially nowadays, like.
Because every phone does it.
Yeah.
I love it. See, I used to hate QR codes. When they first came out, you had to download an app. The app didn't work half the time. I deleted it. I said, those are useless. I actively used to tell people, don't waste your time with QR codes. Nobody uses them. Then what happened? COVID happened. And what else happened? Phone makers said, hey, let's just make that a thing that cameras do. And all of a sudden, I whip out my phone, I held it up, and poof, I'm on a website. I sit down at a restaurant, And I say, where's the menu? Scan that code on your table. Poof, everybody knows to use QR codes now. So again, I'm walking to my trash can and I stop and go, I'd like an instant home value. Yeah, he said instant. Right? Don't tell me you're gonna mail me something. You got me with instant. Because we live in that society, don't we? Does anybody have an Alexa in their house? A Google Home, an Apple Home, right? I'm sitting there talking to my kids. It's just like that commercial for Alexa. And my kids will ask me a question. I'll go, hey, Google, what is blah, blah, blah? And it'll go, blah, 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 and it'll tell me the answer. Instant gratification. I grew up, right? I'm 42. I'm on the cusp. I just barely squeaked in, right? I know a lot of people that are just a couple years older than me. They're like, technology, I don't know anything about it. That's okay. But I was lucky enough that like we got a computer when I was 13 and I was able to mess with it and I got fascinated by technology. And I think it's really cool. And I was a late adopter with Google because I didn't want Google in my house listening to me. Then I got one, you know how they got me? They gave me a free Google clock when I bought something at Best Buy last year. Free item. And I was like, cool, I plugged it in. Now I got 4 of them in the house. Now there's one in the kitchen, the master bedroom, the master bathroom, the basement, and there's about to be one in the kids' room. So I can wake them up without going upstairs. Now I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm not doing anything weird in here. Google, come on in. I don't care what you listen to, you know? Anyway, so again, we want to stop them from just throwing this away. We want to make them think a little bit. What is this? This is different. Is this different? It's a house sitting on a pile of cash. Is your house sitting on a pile of cash? Scan here to find out. It's a little bit different. Same QR code. It'll take you to the same website. I'm going to download this as a PDF and send it to Terrell so you can send it to all you guys. Okay. But this is a little bit different. This is the only type of house I would put on there, sitting on a pile of $100 bills. This one here is, look at this. It's a Falcons schedule. Could I mail this to everybody in my farm area with my little picture at the bottom? Hey, neighbor, I wanted to be sure you don't miss a moment of the action this football season. Go Falcons. Doesn't matter I was raised in Cleveland. Doesn't matter I'm a Browns fan. I don't care. Nobody cares about it. Nobody cares. My cup. I said, Terrell, is this okay? Can I have this in here? I know Terrell's a big sports guy. But is that a good thing to have distributed to the neighborhood? Absolutely. This might get a magnet stuck to it on the refrigerator. Hey, we're big fans. We want to make sure we don't miss it. It's got the channel, it's got the time, it's got everything on there. What about this one? This is a school calendar for Beaufort City Schools. Now I just took this screenshot, like I would totally make it look better than this, but I ran out of time, so I just stole it from the school's website. But let me tell you something. Let me tell you a fun story. I came home from work. My kids are in Beaufort. I came home from work one day, a couple months ago, and there is a calendar magnet on my fridge with the school schedule for the year. And at the bottom, it's a realtor from Exit Realty. And I looked at that and I said, hey, what is this crap? Where'd this come from? And my wife goes, that lady was just distributing them all over the neighborhood. She's like, don't you throw that away. We need that. So now I have some lady from Exit Realty on my refrigerator. Do you understand the power of this magnet? I was a team leader. And every day I stare at it, I need to call this lady and recruit her. This is really bothering me. But like, she's on my fridge because there's power in that information. She came from contribution. And I promise you, her magnet is on hundreds and hundreds of refrigerators in the Beaufort City School District right now. Now, you can invest in the magnets like she did. They're going to be way more expensive than this, what we're doing today. But I think that this would still have a chance at making it to the fridge with a magnet stuck to it. Right there under the Falcons schedule. Right there under the UGA Go Dogs schedule, right? Like we start to think about this in ways of how can I not get thrown in the trash? Like this is the only thing that probably won't get thrown. The others will get tossed. But this, I think, will get saved. So the front side of the postcard, I think, has to be unique. It has to be eye-catching. It has to stop you. It has to be different. And it should change throughout the year, right? I wouldn't, and we'll get into the cost effectiveness and changing fronts and whatever, but the front should be something that is unique and different and all that. The backside, however, has to stay the same, in my opinion. Once you create the backside of your postcard, that's the card that you will distribute forever and ever and ever, because that has to be recognizable. Because as they stop to read the front of that postcard with that girl, they're going to flip it over. And at some point, they're going to stop to read, flip over and go, oh, it's this guy again. Oh, it's this guy again. I'm building brand recognition. Oh, it's this guy. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's this lady again. It's this lady. So I think the back side of that card should stay the same every single time. The front side is where you get to get creative and have fun with it and get to do something that's a little bit different. You know what I thought about doing, which I never did, but I thought, would it be interesting to, like a super close up of my face on the front of the card? Like super close, like just the entire card, just my face. Like would you stop me like, what is this? Right? And then flip it over and go, oh, it's that guy. But it's like I don't want to be weird and considered weird, but I want to stop you in your tracks. We are like our attention has been monetized. You guys get that, right? Like these things, our phones, every time we're on Google, every time we open up emails, like our attention has been monetized. And there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people fighting for your attention every single day, everywhere you go, every billboard, every radio station, every TV. Like you can't even get through a YouTube video without seeing an ad. You can't get through a Facebook video. Do y'all remember when Facebook used to not interrupt your videos with ads? Yes. Do you know how I was angry? There is a post on Facebook where I said, not cool, Facebook, I'm done watching videos. And guess what I do? Watch those videos. It lasted a couple of weeks. I got over it. And now I'm like, all right, whatever. Let's get through this ad. So this is the backside of one of the cards that I did with my guy, Bob Hartwell. Now, there are two of us on there, and you might be saying, well, that's weird. Well, here's the thing. When I first started and I first wanted to get into this, I did not want to spend all the money by myself because it was a lot of money and it was expensive and I was new and I wasn't making any money. So I went to the office, to the people that I had connections with, that I networked with, and I said, hey, Joe, I'm thinking about doing this. Would you like to partner up on these postcard farming campaigns? And in that neighborhood, in that area that we will farm together from here on out, every listing we get, every buyer that comes from it, we'll split 50-50. We're not on a team together. You still build your own business, I build mine. But this farm area here, this is ours. You and I together, we work this. And everything that comes from it, we work together. And we split the proceeds, we split the costs. So I didn't have to pay for all the costs up front. And also, I didn't get all the money, but I was okay with that. So let me tell you what happened with this. Well, we'll get to that in a second. All right, real quick. So you were asking about postage, right? You see this guy right here? That's a graphic that you print on the card. And that has all the information the post office needs. And then that's your address right there, local postal customer. Those two things have to be on the same side of a card. Front or back, doesn't matter. But those two things have to be on the card. You can put those two things anywhere you want, upside down, sideways, crooked, doesn't even matter. But those two things have to be on the card for this card to get mailed. If those two things are not printed on your card and you forgot to add them to your design in Canva, you're gonna have to figure something out to put stickers on that thing, because those have to be there or the post office will not deliver them, okay? Those two have to be there. Those are non-negotiables. For me, this was the backside of my card every single time. 4 white columns, which is a $600,000 to $700,000 neighborhood in Alpharetta that me and Bob wanted to establish a presence in. This is another guy, Kerry Hazelwood, who was another newer agent. We partnered up and we did this as well. See the same format, right? At the top, call to action. What is your home worth? Find out. Pricecheckmyhouse.com. Call to action has to be there. Do not send a postcard with only a phone number or an email address on there. Nobody's calling you. People these days are offended if you call them, right? Like, that's the world we live in. I had a younger person tell me, like, If they text you and you call them back, like that's offensive. And I'm like, but what if I'm driving? I can't text you. Like, how dare you call me? I texted you. I don't want to talk to you. I just wanted to text you. But that's the way that this generation's coming up. And this is what's happening. So call to action has to be there every single time. What's your home worth? Find out at this website. Get a free market analysis of your home at this website. Scan here for an instant home value report and then insert QR code. Call to action has to be there. There has to be some step that they take. If there's not a call to action, then they're going to look at it and go, nice card, Joe, in the trash. What did you want me to do with it? I don't know. You didn't tell me what to do with it. Human beings need to be told what to do. Plain and simple. If you don't tell them to do it, they're just not going to do it. Unless they're super hyper motivated and they just loved your card for some reason. And they go, I got to find this guy and I'm going to call him from this phone number. Squeeze page, landing page, home value page. Look, y'all know you get a free one with Cloud CMA through FMLS. Have you seen that? I'm going to show you what that looks like here on my brother's website in just a second. We're going to do a test run and show you what that looks like.
What's a squeeze page?
It is a one-page landing page. So the only action they can take there is to enter an address. It's squeezing them into your world, right? So there's not other tabs, there's not other places they can go, there's nowhere they can get distracted. I'm pushing them into this one action. So there's nothing else they can do with this website to learn about me or anything else. There's only one thing to do here. Give me your address. I want your information, right? That's the one thing they do there. Homevalueleads.com is $59 a month. That's my preference. You need to make that decision on your own if you choose to spend that money. I will show you why it's my preference in just a second here. Always have 3 ways to be contacted: phone, email, and website registration. QR code. Don't rely on phones and emails alone. You got to have that website. You got to have that QR code to get them to interact with you. And then speed to lead. So when they do sign up for something, when they register for something, time is money. You got to catch them in that mode. What happens when they register is in that moment, they've made a decision to get some information. And if you catch them 20 minutes or 30 minutes later and they've moved on to that next thing in their world, and you go, hey, it's Adrian with Keller Williams, and you registered on my website. No, what? No, I didn't. What? Who is this? What website? What are you talking about? Oh, you're at 123 Main Street, right? You were looking for the home value? Oh, yeah, whatever, man. I was just curious. I don't know. Catch them in that moment. In that moment, they've taken a step. They're in that mode. Catch them within a few minutes. That's your opportunity to connect and to convert. Speed to lead. That's the name of the game. We covered this already, but you cannot forget these 2 things. These 2 graphics, they have to be on there. If you forget these 2 graphics, you will not get mailed. You will drop them off at the post office and the postal service will throw them away. Plain and simple. There's another shot of the card with me and Bob. Fancy arrows coming in. You like that? All right, so let's talk about does anybody have any questions? Because I know I'm trucking through a lot of things here. Yes, sir.
So you said you have the 2 logos on the mail and you drop them off the post office, you said?
Yes. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a second here. This is the system. So this system is affordable, inexpensive, cheap, whatever word you want to use, and requires more physical work from us. That's why it's inexpensive, because it's going to put you to work a little bit. And we'll talk about that. So the way that this system works, you go and register for an account online, and then you search your zip code to find a route. So remember, direct mail marketing, I upload an address list. Those addresses could be all over God's green earth, and that's where they send the postcards. With this, I'm doing it based on mail carrier routes. So I've got to go find the neighborhood and the route in their system, and then that's the route I'm going to mail. Now, here's the thing. My neighborhood has 110 homes in it. The mail route I'm on is about 500 homes. I cannot mail to my neighborhood with this system without mailing to the other 400 people around me. So When I'm mailing to my neighborhood, because I want to be in my neighborhood, I'm also capturing everybody on that mail route. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. Remember this one here with this guy, Bob? White columns? The reason we ended up in white column, well, here's the thing. We set that up with white columns. It's a big, beautiful neighborhood in Alpharetta. But that route was much larger than just the neighborhood. We ended up with a $600,000 sale and a $790,000 sale, not in that neighborhood. Two completely different old fellas whose family had lived on these properties for years and years in Milton. Y'all familiar with Milton? High end, lots of money. These guys had some really crappy old houses on 5 or 6 acres of land in Milton, Georgia. They didn't know they were sitting on a gold mine. Both of these guys were in their 80s. They got our postcards because we were targeting white columns. They saw the postcard and said, hey, we can't handle 5 or 6 acres anymore. We want to move. And we were able to sell those properties to developers who built McMansions and all that kind of stuff on there, right? We did not have any intentions of capturing these 2 old fellas, but that's who we caught. Would y'all be mad if you caught them at $600,000 or $700,000? Absolutely not. So there's still value there. Like, I want this neighborhood, but I'm going to capture a few people around it as well. So I'm actually going to pull that system up real quick here. 1 second.
We'll get that link right there, right?
Yeah, yep. So, all right, let me pull this up. We're going to do a quick demo here of the actual website. Okay.
So you really, okay. So even though you may be targeting a community of 300 homes, a
Yeah,
route, depending on how many homes are on that route.
might be hitting
That's
500 or
how many-
600. Yeah. So here, let's do this. Why don't y'all give me a zip code that you work in or an address? Give me an address of a house in a neighborhood or a zip code that you want to work in. You said 65, 31.
North, that's N-O-R-C, not north, north. N-O-R-C-L-I-F-F-E. The neighborhood block.
What's the what's the city? Stay out of my neighborhood. And the zip code?
You see, I'm looking at it, right? What's it there?
What's it?
30087.
All right, let's see if we can find it. All right, so does that look accurate?
It is exactly accurate.
Okay, so which one is the actual neighborhood?
Southland.
Well, I'm gonna need the route itself.
Oh, the route.
Is this it? What's the name of some of the streets?
Northcliffe Green,
Northcliffe Drive?
yeah.
All right, so that's the neighborhood right there.
Southland,
Okay, so I clicked on that neighborhood. Do you know how many homes are in that neighborhood?
about 1,100, little bit more than that.
Okay, so this actually doesn't even cover the whole neighborhood. So this route at the top, you see it's,
The top of the subdivision is a different route.
gotcha, 650 homes on this route. It also is going to tell you some information about the demographics that live there a little bit. So it says, oh, I lost it.
I found this community.
So 11.2% are 25 to 34-year-olds. The average household is 2.9 people. Average income is $55.86 thousand per year. So $56,000 a year is the average income level. So you already know this because you farm this area, right? All right. So on the right side there, when I click that, you'll see that it's 650 mail pieces. It's $130 to mail that out. So I could go in and I can choose as many routes in this neighborhood or in this area. Is this part of the neighborhood too then? You said there's 2 parts?
Yeah, the top part is a different route.
Okay. So is this the bottom part then?
Yeah, that's the back part of the community.
All right. So now I've got 1,300 homes and it pops up and says I need to go to 2 different mail facilities. So here's the process is I would do, let's stick with the one and say it's 650 homes, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this process and I'm going to highlight my routes. I'm going to pay for it online. And then I'm going to print out some paperwork. And the paperwork is going to be, they call them front facing labels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make stacks of 100. So there's 650 homes. So I'm going to have 6 stacks of 100 cards. I'm going to have 1 stack of 50. I'm going to bundle them with a rubber band. I'm going to print these forms, fill out the form, slide it under the rubber band. And then I'm going to drive to that post office with those 650 cards and my paperwork. And I'm going to hand them to the person behind the desk and say, I'm here for every door direct mail. They're going to take that bundle, and the next day, they're going to load them on that mail carrier's truck, and that mail carrier is just going to distribute to every mailbox on that route. Did I lose anybody? It's okay if I did.
So you have a form filled out for every 100.
So the form is based on your order, and it's identifying how many stacks there should be. So that form says it's one form, but multiple times, and every stack gets the same form. It's just one.
It's 100 per stack.
It's 100 per stack, except for the stack that's an odd number. So there's 650 homes. I can have 6 stacks of 100, but in this stack, I can only do 50 because there's only 650 homes, right?
So I have 7
Seven.
copies of the form.
7 copies of the form on 6 stacks. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question. Every stack has its own form.
Every stack has its own form. Yep. So when we order these things and we buy them in bulk and then we're doing this work, like we have to line up the stacks. Like some people are like, oh my gosh, you want me to count out 700 cards? No, I want you to count 100, make a stack, put a stack next to it, then put a stack next to it and eyeball it. And then at the end, throw in 5 more just in case you missed a few, right? Because the cards are like 9 or 10 cents a piece. So it's okay. You can spend 50 cents to throw in 5 extra cards. But that's the process. So you take it to the post office, you drop it off in bulk, they distribute it for you. Everybody on board?
Can I ask so
Yeah.
I got an 8.5 by 11 sheet paper for a form.
Yep.
And I got a 3 by 5.
Fold it in half. You can't do a 3x5 card. So they have limits on the sizes. Every door direct mail has to be certain sizes. There's multiple sizes to choose from. What I have found to be the most economical and the largest for the cheapest is 6.5 by 9 inch. That is a large card. They're odd shaped. They're oddly shaped cards. They have random like 4 by 11 is in every door direct mail size. So every door direct does these large odd shaped cards. But I find that 6.5 by 9 sticks out in the mailbox. And it's something that is very obvious, like, what is this? Because it's big. It's a big card.
So where do you get your cards?
We're going to cover that. I will show you the websites. Yeah. Let me pull this up actually so I can see what you see, because right now we're extending screens and it's really difficult. Any other questions about that? Everybody understand?
You just have your own printer?
No, I buy them on a website. I'll show you a couple of websites that we use. But y'all get this process, right? Okay. All right, so let's move on because I actually have a couple things to show you about it. So you register, you find your route, you go through the process. Once you click to go through, you pick your drop-off date. So if I was doing this today, I would pick tomorrow as a drop-off date. I would advise you to always drop them off on a Thursday or Friday. I want those things hitting mailboxes on a Saturday when people have time to think about this kind of stuff. You hit me on a Tuesday, it's going in the trash. I'm not thinking about it. I'm too busy. But I'll grab that on Saturday afternoon and it might sit on my countertop for a day or two. I might look at it on a Sunday. You pick that, you pick your payment option, you take care of it. Pick your drop-off date. I advise you to pay online. It's more efficient. I don't know if you guys know anything about the US Postal Service or the people who work there, God bless them, but it's not the most efficient place in the world. Pay online, have all your stuff ready. So all you have to do is hand it to them and go, it's already paid for. And then you move on with your life. Because if you have to pay for it, it gets really like, people just get weird. This is the next screen you'll see once you do that and pay for it. And that's where you hit print all forms. So these are the things that you're going to need. And we'll actually show you what those look like. So this piece on the left is one form. You're going to fill out this one form. This is just one copy. You're going to fill out the information on this form. Just give it what it's asking for. The one on the right side there is actually telling you how many mail pieces you need to have. It's telling you the route number. You're going to need to bring this stuff to the post office with you to hand to the person behind the desk. That's how they know where to send this particular batch of cards. This is the form that you would print 7 copies of. This is the one that you would fold over. You would fill in where those yellow arrows are, and then you would fold it over and you would put it underneath the rubber band on each stack of cards. That bottom space there is do not deliver addresses. If there's an address in that neighborhood that you do not want delivered, you have to fill that out. Why would you not want to deliver to some addresses? I had an agent call me once and get so angry with me. Stop sending this crap to my house. I never put her address on the list. I kept sending it. I said, why would you want to? I would never stop mailing it. Look, I ain't got time for that. I'm not going to fill out this form 7 times, put your address on it because you're angry. That's not my problem. You know? Yes, ma'am.
One lady knew she was calling to list her house.
Yeah.
How did you get this in my mailbox? Did you touch my mailbox? I said, ma'am, it goes just like those flyers you did in the mail from the grocery store.
Yeah.
Do you have to touch my mailbox? There's no stamp on here.
Yeah. Look, there are some angry trolls out there. That's right. Hey.
She gonna call you to sell her house.
One of these days she'll call you all angry. I'm ready to sell my house, Brenda. Yeah, get over here, but don't get near my mailbox. All right, so that's the form you fill out. And then here is a picture of stacks that somebody else did that I stole online. All right, so you see how they did that? They have stacks of 100. He's got 3 stacks of 100 and he's got 1 stack of 22. And for each stack, he's got 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, 4 of 4. So that tells that mail carrier how many stacks should they have. It gives them all the information they need right there. That's what your finished product will look like. This is what you will take to the postal service. This is what you'll drop off. Cool. Seeing a lot of nods. We're good. All right. So where do I get them printed? Not my printer at home. I promise you. 55 Printing is a website that I like to use. There are thousands of websites out there that all do the same thing. This is one that I've been using for years. Always gives me high quality, always fast, always cheap. I like using it. You can use Vistaprint. You can use Best Print Buy. You can use all these other things. This is just the one that I like. Pick a card that matches the right size. So when you go in there and you pick your options, make sure that it says EDDM next to it. If it's not an EDDM approved size, the post office will not take it. Then you'll find yourself in a real bad situation with thousands of cards sitting in your garage and not knowing what to do with them. So make sure that, what's that? Yeah, as I say, yeah, you gotta get a new pair of shoes because you're gonna be doing some walking, aren't you? Pick your quantity, color on both sides. Do not miss that option and make sure that it's color on both sides. I always did the UV. They ask you, the UV coating is that stuff that makes it shiny. So it sticks out and looks real nice and shiny and professional. I definitely would make sure that it's there. Bundle or no bundle. There are some websites out there that will say, hey, we'll bundle them for you. Okay, well, you're going to pay for that. And just be aware of that the price will be different. All right. You can have somebody bundle them. That's okay. It's just going to cost you. It's just going to cost you money. And sometimes we'll even triple the price of what you pay just to have them do these things for you. Okay. Let's assume my farm is 1,000 homes. I order in quantity. So remember I said that the front of the card should change. However, how often you want it to change will impact your budget. The more cards I order online in bulk, the cheaper I get these cards. So if I order from 55 Printing 2,500 cards, I can get those 2,500 cards. They will send me a few cases of cards to my house. So I will have 2,500 cards in my garage and it'll cost me $245, just a little less than 10 cents a card. I'll bundle them. I'll take them to the post office. I'll do all that extra work. Postage is 20 cents a card. So I pay 10 cents to print the card. I pay the post office 20 cents to deliver the card. That's how I get to my 30 cents. Now, if I order 10,000 cards, I'm going to probably pay 6 or 7 cents a card. But now I've got 10,000 cards sitting in my garage and they all look the same. And that's okay to some extent, as long as the message on the front can carry you through 10 months of marketing. I'm not going to send a Falcons 2021 schedule in April of 2022. So don't make that mistake. For me, 2,500 was the magic number. If I'm going to commit to the next 10 months of doing this, I'm going to order 4 rounds of 2,500 cards. I'm going to design 4 cards that look different on the front, back is the same, and I'm going to get 10,000 cards brought to my house. And I'm going to spend about $1,000 on those cards. Now I've got those cards in my basement, my garage, my office, wherever I'm at. And now every month I send out a different card. So every 4th month they rotate back to the beginning. This month you get this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, and back we go. Month number 5, we start back at the front. The message can be consistent, it's okay. Because what is the message? Like, what is the point of these cards? It's not to advertise a listing or a home for sale. It's to advertise my website where I want you to go so I can bring you into my world. These cards are advertising your business and your website, plain and simple. You're not advertising homes. You're not doing anything else here. You're advertising a website or a QR code or something. I want to bring you into my world. That's why I'm doing this. So each mailing would cost me 1,000 cards, about $100 for printing, $200 for postage, $300. $300 a month, I'm hitting about 1,000 homes. Consistently for 10 months in a row. That's a $3,000 investment for 10 months. Wouldn't do this for any less than 10 months before I gave up on it. Wouldn't do it any less than a year, but 10 was easier to do math. So that's how we ended up here. Here's another company called Best Print Buy, who is a KW approved vendor. Now their numbers you can see are a little bit different. Best Print Buy will print, they will bundle, and they will even send those bundles to the post office for you. You don't have to do anything. You design it, you click it, and you move on with your life. But you see the price difference. If I'm mailing out 1,000 cards, it's 43 cents a card. I'm at 30 cents, they're at 43. And you're like, hey, what's 13 cents? Well, it's 130 bucks a month is what it is. If I'm doing 1,000 cards. So again, it's all about your budget. You may have more money than time. You may want to pay for that service. I'm okay with that. You may have more money, more time than money. You might want to do the work yourself then. Completely up to you how you do that. With this service, if you were using this every month, you could change the card every month because now you're just sending out in pieces every single month. So you're paying a little extra for that, but now you have that ability to say, what do I want this month to look like? My suggestion is that you batch that work anyway. You set aside a half a day, whatever it is, and you get into Canva and you get with your designing people and you say, hey, I'm going to build 12 cards or 4 cards or whatever. And you just spend that day building those cards. Because what's going to happen is this is going to get away from you. If you think that you're going to time block this every month to design another card, you're going to get weeks past and you go, oh my God, I didn't do it. Oh, I didn't do the card. I got to send a card. I didn't do a card. And then you go into panic mode and you're like, oh, it's been 8 weeks. I haven't sent a card. I said I was going to do it. Now my coach is yelling at me because I didn't do it. Don't be that person. Batch the work, get it done in bulk, and then have it ready for the entire year, right? Here's my strategy. If I was doing this, we got 12 minutes. Stick with me, we got 12 minutes. I would identify 1,000 home farm. I would design 4 different cards, $2,500 or 2,500 cards at a time, $1,000 investment to get those 10,000 to get those 10,000 cards. I would have 10,000 cards in my garage. Each month would cost me $200 for the postage. I would rotate those months. We already talked about that. 10 months, $3,000 investment. Here's my next level strategy I wanted to get to, because we don't just want to send the cards out, sit and wait. That's okay. That might work. It will work. Not might, it will. However, this ensures that I achieve a higher level. 1 week after the 3rd mailer goes out, I'm going to go door knock that neighborhood. I'm going to take a stack of cards with me. I'm going to be there to say hello, to introduce myself. Just stop by. I want to make sure you've been getting these cards. Have you seen these in the mail? Just want to introduce myself. If anybody's thinking of moving, make sure y'all call me. And I'm out. I'm not selling. I'm not doing the door-to-door salesman thing. I'm not pressuring people. I want to establish a physical presence. I want you to see that the person who's doing this on the card is a real human being. And here I am, and I'm friendly and I'm nice and I want to help you. I would look for those listings in the neighborhood and I would beg the Atlanta Partners agent who has that listing to let me do an open house for him. Find the HOA board members And I would find out what are the events that you want to do in the next 6 months? How can I be a part of that? How can I be the person that sponsors those? Hey, in the summertime, would you guys be cool if I brought the Kona ice truck to your neighborhood? Would that be cool for your neighborhood? Would that be like something I could do for the kids and the families? Right? Oh, cool. Yeah, that would be really awesome. Awesome. Let's set that up July 23rd. Let's pick a day. Let's hope it's sunny, and let's hope that we can now have a reason to call those neighbors and invite them to the Kona ice truck, to knock on those doors with an invitation. Hey, we're having a party at the pool on this day. I want you to bring the kids, bring the family, free Kona ice for everybody. Get the hot dog ninja out there. You ever see the hot dog ninja? The guy got a little cart, like a hot dog cart. It's called the hot dog ninja. And he feeds people hot dogs, right? And you bring him to the pool. Now you got a little hot dog Kona ice party going on. So it's like, how can I get involved with people? And then I look for those local teams to sponsor. Get your hands on contact info and build a presence. Circle prospecting. Does anybody in here circle prospect? Right? Circle prospecting is just downloading neighborhood data. You can get it from Cold Realty Resource. You get it from different places. I'm not calling to solicit. I just want to make sure you've been getting my cards. You know I'm available. I'm a realtor. I'm the guy that's been sending postcards. If there's ever anything you need, I'm here for you. Super easy phone call, not soliciting, right? You cannot call those people. No, you still can't call them. No, do not call this. Do not call list. Like those people, you'll get in trouble regardless. But if you're using a reputable service, they should be scrubbing that list anyway. So that contact info just won't be there. Okay. Best practices, send the postcards out monthly. That's my preference. Once a month, they go out. If I'm truly building a farm, send them out monthly, especially in the beginning, because I'm building a presence. Once you've established yourself for a year or two, I think maybe then you can back it down and maybe do it every other month, maybe quarterly even. But in the beginning, you've got to hit them over and over. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I just use 10 as a thing. I would send holiday cards, yes, because I could get 2,500 of those printed and just increase that farm for that one time, you know, or get 1,000 printed. Cost me a little bit extra, but I know I'm going to send something for it. I would still do it for EDDM. Yep, I would still use the same service. At least once.
When you go door knocking,
What's that?
you're still doing the mailing
Absolutely.
during the month that you're doing.
Absolutely. Even more so, I want them to make the connection. I saw you on the card. I see you on my doorstep. I see you on Facebook. Find out ways to get into their Facebook face too, their social media. Start looking for opportunities to get into groups. Follow up with calls, handwritten letters. Look, if somebody registers, I'm going to run out of time. I really want to show you these things. Look, back in 2015, we got a registration for one of these things. The person pretty much ignored us for an entire year, but they went into a system that we followed up with emails, with phone calls that were never answered. A year later, they called my wife and they listed their house. Thank you for keeping up with me. Now we're ready. It's a marathon. Every lead's a good lead. Everybody's on the journey of purchasing a home at some point. That could be tomorrow, could be next year, it could be in 5 years. Does anybody plan on being in business longer than the next 6 months? Well, then do it. Don't get discouraged if you don't see those results immediately. Yes, it's possible to get a great lead and convert it immediately. We've heard that in the room. It has happened, but don't get discouraged if it doesn't happen right away. I did this for 18 months and picked up $2.7 million in sales in 18 months. It's about $80,000 of income on what amounts to $300 or $400 a month of investment. Would anybody here trade me $4,000 for $80,000? Anybody in the room at all? You give me 4, I'll give you 80. Would you be cool with that? I'd be cool with that. Door knock the neighborhood, bring a small stack of cards, bring a quick CMA when you door knock. Y'all can do a quick CMA in FMLS. Hey, got some information about what's happening in your neighborhood. Here's what's active, here's what's pending, here's what's sold in the last 3 months. Thought you might want to see it. Doesn't have to be fancy, just needs to be information, something that makes them think of you as a real estate resource. Any homeowner that registers on your website, I would visit them with a pre-listing packet, even if they said, I was just curious. Okay, well, I'm still here anyway. I did a CMA and I gave you this pre-listing packet so you know who I am. You registered, so I'm gonna be in your face. You're in my world now. I got you. Even if they say you're just curious. The squeeze page gives pre-leads, like that homevalueleads.com is a really cool site because here's what it does. And we will finish by showing you the two different systems, okay? With home value leads, you go in and you put your address in, right? And you hit a button and it takes you to the next screen that says, now I need your contact info. This is where you lose most people. They were cool with giving you an address. They're not cool with giving you contact info. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want you to call me. I don't want a salesperson selling me anything, right? And that's when typically they'll back up and go, never mind, I'm good. The reason I love that website is it registers that address and it sends it to you as a pre-lead. So Joe will put his address in there, 123 Main Street. Then he gets to that next screen that says, give me your information. He goes, nah, I don't want you to know that. I already have your address. Sorry, Joe. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm knock on your door. I did that a few years ago. Here's what happened. Me and my partner, Carrie, we got a lead in the neighborhood, $300,000 to $400,000 homes. The person backed out, didn't give us contact info. We printed a CMA, we printed a pre-listing packet. We knocked on the door, 3 in the afternoon. Big guy, taller than me, shows up at the door with a thick accent. What do you want? Oh, someone at this address had registered for information about the value of the property. We're wondering if you're thinking of selling. Either way, we wanted to drop off this paperwork. Get the F off of my property. Took the information, cussed us out, and told us to get the F off his property. We're like, whew, okay. Slams the door in our face, right? Later that evening, the guy calls me. And he goes, hey, this is so-and-so. You stopped by earlier? I said, uh-huh. I was like, this dude. I said, uh-huh. And he goes, he goes, I own Patrick's of Atlanta, the salon down there by the Mall of Georgia. I said, okay. He goes, I'm in the process of selling it and moving back to the Netherlands. He said, I left the office today because I couldn't get peace and quiet. And then you two idiots show up at my door. And I was like, okay. He goes, we do want to move. You just caught me at a bad time. Can you come over tomorrow? And I was like, uh-huh. So we went over there and we sold this house for $378,000. I made about 11 grand. Now look, the dude literally said, get the F off my property, and slammed the door in my face. And then he called me and said, you caught me at a bad time. Please come back. And we sold this house. At that moment, at that time, we got the highest value in the neighborhood. He was super excited, thrilled, got us another listing down the street for $340,000 because of that. So $700,000 of listings came from that pre-lead. What it was his wife saw the postcard. She went to do the thing, gave us the address, then said, I don't want nobody coming by or talking to me. And she bailed on us before we got contact info. But we took that next step and we went to their door and we did it anyway. And we ended up making, combined with his and the other listing that we got as a result, we ended up making about $18,000, $19,000 in that neighborhood because of that pre-lead. So any lead, I'll tell you, any lead is value. There's value there. Somebody has curiosity. One time, one guy goes, I didn't register for that. Oh, well, somebody did. Now I don't know what kind of weird government tracking thing you have. And I was like, nope, it's just a real estate website, sir. And he's like, whatever, that wasn't me. But can I look at the information anyway? And I'm like, the guy was a weirdo. He didn't want to buy the house. He was curious. He didn't want to sell his house. He was just curious. So you'll get that. You'll get that. Homevalueleads.com. It's $59 a month. That's the website that we use. Do you have any questions? We got 2 minutes. And if you want to stick around, I will show you a demo on those 2 different websites and how they work real quick. But what questions do y'all have? Terrell, we should have scheduled 3 hours. I told them we'd need to get lunch. I talked too much. I talked too much.
I have a question. So you said after like the first 2 or 3 mailings, you suggest doing door knocking. Would you door knock again after that?
Yeah, I probably would. So it depends. There's a program out there called Sales Rabbit. And Sales Rabbit is a door knocking system. It costs money, so I'm not trying to sell you on this thing, but it's a really cool system where you can go through and you can highlight doors, you can put information and really keep track of who you talked to, who you didn't talk to. And I bring that up to say that not everybody's going to be home. Not everybody's going to be nice. Some people will be super nice and I'm going to want to revisit them. Some addresses I'm gonna want to revisit because they weren't there when I was there the first time. Some people will yell at me, tell me to get the F off their property, and I don't want to go back there unless they call me first. So I probably would visit more than once until I talked to as many people as possible. However, door knocking the same doors, I wouldn't go back unless I had something of substance to bring for that particular time. I'm not going back with just a postcard the second time. If I'm going back around, it's because I'm distributing something like, I don't know. You ever heard people doing like reverse trick or treating for Halloween? Hey, I wanted to stop by. I'm in the area. I'm a realtor. We dropped off some candy, you know. I don't know how that works these days with COVID, but that used to be a thing that we did, you know. So yes, I would make that a part of my plan. Probably wouldn't be in the neighborhood every other month or anything, but once or twice a year, I would want to have a physical presence in that neighborhood. What else?
Where can I get those two things that you have now on the phone?
They are, you can download them on that website, the Every Door Direct website through the Postal Service. I'll tell you, make sure you use that link. I'm going to put it in a PDF. You should be able to click on it and I'll send it to Terrell. You got to use that link. Go to the US Post Office. There's a lot of websites out there that'll trick you into thinking you're on their website and they'll want to charge you all this extra fees. Go directly to the US Post Office. Don't pay those other companies. Those companies are selling services. Y'all want to have a quick look at these websites? All right. So this website right here, now this is the one that my brother put together on his KW command. It's in his command. It's a page that he built on his command site. You guys all have this same exact page for free through FMLS. It's called Cloud CMA. So I'll go in here. I'll put my old address. He told me to make sure I use one of my old addresses so he knows he doesn't get excited about it being an actual lead. So, yeah. So I'll put in my old address, Madrid Falls in Brazelton, and I'll click and I'll say, okay, what's next? Okay, well, it's going to show me a little map. It found my address, which is kind of neat. And now it's going to ask me for information. Remember, this is where people typically will run away from you, right? I'm not going to run away because it's my brother, and I want you guys to see what this looks like. Not on this website. This one does not do that. The other one does that. Yeah. And I want to show you what the two different reports actually look like. So I'll put this in and I'll hit email my report. And then I'll show you what that email looks like when it comes back from his system. Your report is on its way. If you have any questions, you want more accurate professional evaluation, please call this number. Great. Now, this is his homevalues.com, homevaluereport.com website, also on his command site. Like I say, he's our tech trainer, he's really big into command. I hope he's not listening. He's going to be mad at me for saying that. I'll put the same thing in. Now, on this website, as soon as I hit what's it worth, he's already got my address. He's getting an email in the next few seconds with that address. There's a person who lives here who's curious about their home value. If I go no further, he already has my home address. This is where people will stop and go, oh, I don't want to get a bunch of emails from this guy, right? But I'll go ahead and do it anyway because I want you to see what this looks like as well. We'll hit get my report.
But you could pull a report to see who at all the addresses that came in that day that we.
Well, you'll get an email right away. And yeah, this system has a back-end system, like a small CRM that organizes. And he's got automated, like this system has automated text, automated emails, things that you can set up to automatically hit people. Like you can use this in partnership with Command, and it's got its own little system, which is kind of cool. All right, so I gave him all my information. Let's go to my email. Let's see how long that takes to get a report back. All right, complimentary CMA, one of them has showed up. This is the one that you get for free through Cloud CMA through FMLS. I'll click on it and let's see what it looks like. Quick CMA, it's got an aerial view of the home. Nice. It's got my name on it. It was prepared just for me. I feel special. It's got a little letter. So in Cloud CMA, you can go in and you can design what this report looks like. And you can decide what pages, what it says, all of that stuff, how much you want to put in or how much you don't want to put in. So everything in here is something that he personally put together and designed. You guys see the relation, maybe? A little bit, a little bit, yeah. So he goes into what's a CMA, you know, information, he's given information. Then there's a map of comparables, then it's gonna show, so look, all that this system's doing is pulling data. It's pulling whatever FMLS has as data, and it's just spitting out some numbers here to give people information. You gotta look at contact info as digital currency. I gave you my contact info. Now, what are you going to give me back? And if I don't give you something back instantly, I feel like I was taken. Well, I put my information in there. Now what? Some hacker in Russia is going to get me? Like, where the heck did it go? What did I get for that? So it's important that you have a system that we trade. I gave you contact info. You give me something of value back. If you don't, I'm going to feel slighted a little. I'm going to feel like you got one over on me a little bit. I gave you something valuable, and you gave me nothing in return. So I think it's valuable to give this. Now, what I'll tell you is this does not tell them the value of their home. This is spitting out data of what has sold recently. Now it's up to you to make that follow-up happen and go, hey, Joe, I got the information. Did you get the report? Awesome. Hey, listen, can I do a customized report for you? Let me dig into some of the comparables. Let me really get in on that, and let's meet tomorrow and I'll tell you what I really think your home is worth. Are you free at 6 or is the next day at 5 better for you? Like, this is just the door opening. This isn't going to give them everything that they need, and it's certainly not solidifying that relationship at a really high level, right? So y'all see that? Kind of a cool report, pretty good stuff, more information, all that good stuff. Even tells them these homes have sold, but look at that, 105.7% of the list price is the average. Remember when we used to see averages at like 96% of list price? Gosh, that is weird. All right, let's see if we got, and there it goes. We got one from the other one. So Bob must be monitoring this. So he actually sent us a screenshot of his lead from his phone. This is what it looks like. So you see the first one here on the top, he got the address as a new lead. And then at the bottom, he got the rest of my contact info when I filled that out. So as soon as I gave him the address, he already got that. Then when we go up here, this is the email that comes from that other system. And let's see what that report looks like, and we can compare. So this takes me to a website and it gives me an estimate of the price. I don't know if this estimate's any good. I can tell you it's not, because I sold that. I sold this house last year for $32,000 more than this price. So this system's obviously just pulling some weird data, and it's not taking into consideration that there was a finished basement that I did not permit through the government. And who gets permits? That's crazy. So this is what this report looks like, and it's a little bit different, a lot less fluff, really kind of to the point, more data, more information. And that's pretty much it. Like, that's the whole report, but they got something back. They got a little cookie for the in exchange of information. They got something for it. So that's the two different systems. The other report definitely looks more intense and has more information in it, which is cool. And it's a free system. I like this one because of the pre-lead. That's where a ton of our business comes from, because people get scared. I don't want to put my name and phone number in there. Or they'll put a fake number and a fake email. And then what do you got? Well, at least you got an address. But at least with this system, I get the address. That's most important. Then I can hurry up and do a CMA, drive out to that house that same day, next day. Hey, I came to drop this off. Hey, it's so weird. I got your address, but for some reason the phone number didn't come through. So I thought I'd stop by, right? Like, they know darn right why that phone number didn't come through, because they ran away from it. But that's okay. Like, they were scared, and I'm here to tell them there's nothing to be scared of. I can help. I'm coming from contribution. Folks, my time is up. I'm 8 minutes over. Did y'all get something good out of this? Awesome. Hey, Terrell's buying me lunch today. Oh, I love seafood. Hey, we'll have Jason pay for it.
Yeah.
100%.
That case, red lobster.
Yeah.
No, but I love this, and I just had an aha on even something like this where the number is $32,000 off. It still gives you an opportunity to follow up with them and say, hey, look, this may not be your number, but this gets you across the threshold. You know, you gave them something and now that's your whole gate. I haven't seen your house. This is what's spitting out with me not seeing your
Pure
house,
data.
any improvements or anything like that to get you a sit down, to get you to look at the house. So I just had that aha when I was sitting back there, but thank y'all for coming in person. We got a lot of people actually on Zoom. So this was cool. Thank you, Adrian, again.
It's my pleasure.
We're good.
I had
Let's get outta
fun.
here.
Appreciate it, guys. Call me if you need anything.
Absolutely. All right, did you stop the recording?
I did not. Okay. Thanks for tuning in at home. I see one of you. The rest of them are hiding.
That's Caritha. That's my girl. She's always
Oh,
on
no,
too.
Hank turned on. Hank
Oh,
on.
there go Hank. Hank right there. Natasha is in there. Take